Sophomore prom. Okay, at the time, I just thought it was like a whatever dance, but looking back, it was my best dance experience because my junior year and senior year were like the gates of hell opened up and they wanted to like wreck my prom experience for me. So yeah, sophomore year was great and I didn't even know it. Like, and I didn't spend a dime. Yeah, so let me share with you my experience going to prom as a sophomore in high school. Hey babes, it's Abbi J, and you know what? It's kind of getting to prom season time of year, and so I thought, well, my prom stories are probably some of my most cringy, awful, I can't believe that even happened to you stories. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do a video series on it and I'm gonna share with you my sophomore prom, my junior prom, and my senior prom so that you can, one, be entertained, but two, maybe glean some insights from my like flat out awful experiences at prom. And so what better way to start than with my sophomore year? Okay, so my sophomore year, I wasn't dating anybody, and while I had crushes on lots of guys, like it just was like getting asked to prom was not happening for me. And I remember that it got a little bit like closer to prom and closer, and more people are getting promposals and getting asked, and I just wasn't. And then I had that gut like sinking feeling of when all your friends have kind of been asked to prom and like all your guy friends have asked and all the groups are kind of established. And I was just realizing like, yeah, I'm not gonna get asked to prom this year, which like I was looking back through journals to try to like remember and make sure I was being super factual with all like the events and what happened. And I was really sad about it at first, but by the time like it was actually like April and our prom is rolling around, I'd like come to terms with it. I think I was gonna go plan like a fun day with my mom. But I got home from school one day. The prom is 2 days away. So it is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is prom, right? So I go downstairs and my dad and my mom kind of follow behind me. I lived in the basement. So I walk down the stairs and my mom and dad are like coming behind me. And I'm like, can I help you, mom and dad? And they're like, oh, you should look in your room. And I was like, oh, okay. Like prom was like the furthest thing from my mind. It's on Saturday. It's too late to ask somebody. And so I don't even remember what I was thinking about. I was like, well, maybe they've like got me a special treat or something, or I don't know, maybe they got me an early Easter gift. I couldn't remember. And so I opened the door and there was this cute little monkey on my bed, and like a banana. And it was like, I'd be bananas to go to prom with you, I think. And I just was so shocked. Like I stood there for the long, I was like, is this a joke? I like turned to my parents, I said, is this a joke? And they're like, no, like look at it, read it. And so I opened it up. It was from my sweet neighbor. And like, it just was all a little shocking to me. It was all a little overwhelming. I like turned to my mom. I was like, but mom, prom is in 2 days and I don't have a dress. I don't like really know any of his friends. Like he was older than me. So I'm a sophomore and he was a senior. And I just like, it was super overwhelming to me. And like, I was excited, don't get me wrong, because like now I get to go to prom. But I just like, I'd already gotten over the initial like, oh, I'm not going to prom and somebody hasn't asked me. And then I felt the slightest bit like, oh, am I like a pity date or anything like that? Which I know that goes through our head, but it doesn't even matter. Anyway, come to find out that my brother, who was taking his very serious girlfriend to prom, had found out that his friend in our neighborhood hadn't gotten a date. And so he said, ask Abbi, join our group. Like my brother had really arranged it. And like at the time that kind of bothered me because I was like, the only reason I got a date was because my older brother made it happen. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, Dallin, I love you. Like, thank you for looking out for me. And so I got ready to go to prom, and it was like a miracle. I called one of my friends, and honestly, I don't know why I called this young woman who was my friend, because she's like a size 0. And oh, it's come back to me why I called her. She wore the most stunning dress to Christmas that I'd ever seen in my whole life. And so I was overlooking the fact that she's like a size 0. I'm like a size like 6. And I called her and I was like, can I borrow your Christmas dress to go to prom? And she's an angel on earth. And so she said like, yes, absolutely, come on over. So I buzz over to her house. This is on Friday. I buzz over to her house. I like can't even zip her dress up past my bum. So that was disappointing. And I was just like, oh man, that sucks. Well, her older sister happened to like kind of overhear that I was like trying on her dress. And of course I don't fit in this size 000 dress. And she says, hey, I've got some prom dresses. Do you want to try them on? And I was like, yes, kind stranger of the world who's an angel as well. And she was more my size. And so it fit. Like, she had this white dress that had pink little flowers and lining on it. And I just thought it was so cute, and it fit me, and prom was tomorrow, and she said I could borrow it. Talk about a freaking miracle. So I got a dress. I wore pink Converse with it, and my aunt did my flower. Like, it just started coming together. And so legitly, I paid my aunt $10 for the boutonniere. That just covered like her time in the flowers. And that was it. My prom, my sophomore year, cost me $10. Like, yes. Why didn't I do that every freaking year? Okay, so prom rolls around, and I am with my really sweet date who, like, he was always super shy in our neighborhood, so I like kind of knew him, and like that part of it made me so nervous to go to prom with this guy that I really don't know. And even though I'm in this group with my brother, I don't know the other people. Like, that was really nerve-wracking. But I just decided I was gonna have fun, and so we went and we picked up the other girls. And I remember this was like the worst part of the whole night. They all like were like, oh my gosh, your dress is so pretty. It looks like a wedding dress. And I was like, what? Like, don't tell me my dress looks like a wedding dress. That's like the worst thing you can tell somebody at prom. But it was white, but it had these hot pink accents. But from a distance, it just all looked white. And so like, okay, yeah, I get that. But I like, oh, that made me so mad. So we picked up my brother's date, which I'd forgotten. His serious girlfriend at the time, they had like, were on a break. So he was taking a friend that I knew. And so that was like a whole little awkward itself. But we all went. He took me to like a really nice dinner, and then we went to the dance, and that was way fun. And what I remember about the actual prom is that, I don't know, maybe white was my color, but this guy that was my age, a friend of mine, he saw me at prom, and he came over and he talked with me and he flirted with me like the majority of prom. Like, and not that we were just like off just talking to each other, because that'd be like so rude, but like he would like hover around me the whole prom. And I remember just thinking like, have you never noticed me before? Like, do I have to put on a really fancy dress for you to like notice me? But that was the start. Me and that other guy, we had like a little summer fling, and that it started at prom because he just like noticed me in my white wedding dress, prom dress. And so that was a really interesting thing to me, that I learned that even, you know, if I'm at prom with somebody that I view as like a friend, other people are noticing you too. So that was really like fun. And what I like really take away from sophomore prom was just, I had a really great time. And I wasn't expecting to have a really great time, because in my head I was like, nobody asked me. I'm just a pity date. Like, my brother arranged this. and I'm in a borrowed dress. Like, it's a dress that I literally, didn't necessarily have a choice in, even though I ended up loving it. But I just remember like making the most of it and having the most fun, and just remembering like it was such a great experience for me. And I really wish at the time, and this is why I feel like life is very merciful. Like, my junior and senior proms would be like hell on earth. It really would be. And so to have a really nice sophomore prom that was like unexpected and just kind of like happened for me was really, really nice. And out of all my journal searching, those were like some really great memories out of high school. But I hope that like the reason I share this story is because if maybe you're going with somebody that maybe you're not like really excited about, or maybe you got asked at the last second, or maybe you're not going like to prom, like, it's all good. It really is. Like, it feels like it's the whole world and everybody's looking and it's the most important thing, but it just like is what it is. It's just a date. It's just a fun activity. And I'm so grateful for people that can look around like my brother did and see like, hey, my neighbor, doesn't have a date, and Abbi doesn't have a date. Like, well, they could be in our group. Like, I'm just really grateful for people that like put their arms around like people who are getting left out. And so that's something that I tried to do in my junior and senior prom. Or well, not necessarily prom because I didn't plan it, but any dance that I planned, I really tried to look around and say, do any of my friends like want to go? And like, can I help with that? Can I help orchestrate it? And so that was my sophomore experience. It was super fun. I think we went to In-N-Out afterwards and got like milkshakes. The best thing that I did was wore hot pink Converse because my feet didn't hurt by the end of the night. And yeah, I spent like $10 to go to prom, and it was amazing. And like, if that's you, like, borrow a dress, girlfriend. Like, prom does not have to break the bank, and you don't have to go with a romantic date. Like, it was good. So I can't say that about the rest of my proms, but I'll share those stories with you too, because I feel like prom can be a really fun experience, but I hope you can glean some insights and realize that it's up to you to make it a fun experience. That was my sophomore prom. I'm excited to share with you my junior and senior prom and what happened at those. So I can't wait to see you in my next video, babe. Abbi J out.